All right, guys, what's going on? Apologize for the voice sounding a little rough today. I am sick. But today we're talking 3 upgrades that you need to do to your Prodigy that are relatively easy to do and inexpensive. Round trip, you can get all 3 of these done for about 75 bucks. And you can get all of these parts from Dawson Precision's website. So we're gonna go through the 3 different mods / upgrades you can make, why I think that they are pretty important and what they tangibly get you, and how to kind of go about, getting those upgrades done and taken care of. Before we get started, I do want to thank my friends over at Nautilus Ammunition. They are a sponsor and partner of the channel. Nautilus Ammunition is a company that brings quality ammunition to your door for prices that are much lower than competitors. On average, you can save about $3 to $5 per box based on the prices of ranges, outdoor stores like Fleet Farm, Shields, Cabela's, and gun shops. They make quality ammunition that is made here in America, so you don't have to worry about it coming from Russia or Korea or some weird country like that. And they also offer subscription services where every month you can get ammo delivered to your door with free shipping. Having both 9mm and 223, they have very affordable ammunition without sacrificing quality so that you can trust that your ammo is going to function on the range reliably. So huge thank you again to my friends over at Nautilus Ammunition. So what prompted this video? I released a Prodigy review, which I will link here, and I kind of just talked over my initial experience getting hands-on with the gun and what the first 250-ish rounds were like through it. Now I've got a lot more rounds through it, maybe coming up on 1,000, which is not like a crazy amount by any means. But with Nautilus Ammunition, I'm going to be able to put a lot more rounds through it so we can expedite the reliability process of the Prodigy, and I discovered some issues with it. Now, up until having all of these malfunctions, I have never cleaned the Prodigy, only done lubrication about 5 times. And at my last range trip, I was having failure to go in a battery constantly with both Nautilus Ammunition and Remington Ammunition. There was only 1 magazine I was able to get through fully without a single malfunction, and it was really crazy because it went from functioning very well to not functioning at all, and that was very upsetting with me. Even with my carry ammo hollow points, it couldn't get through a mag. So essentially, I went back to the drawing board, tried to figure out what was going on, why it was getting hung up, and the conclusions essentially is that this gun is oversprung. And it's oversprung in 2 main departments. One being the recoil spring itself, which aligns with the guide rod, and the second being the mainspring or the hammer spring. So the recoil spring is rumored to be around 9 pounds. A couple Reddit users say it's 12, but based on how easy it is to cycle the slide with the hammer pulled back, it does feel like a 9-pound spring to me. And then the main spring or the hammer spring is rated at around 20 pounds, which for a 2011 platform is a little on the high side. And so essentially what this means is that with a 9-pound spring, which is pretty decent, it's definitely not oversprung. Some people are buying 12-pound springs to put in the Prodigy and just claim that that's, the best fix for the gun, which I would argue it isn't, because just getting a heavier recoil spring kind of masks the underlying issues that are already there in the Prodigy, so you're just really overspringing the gun. But essentially what that 20-pound mainspring, which is too much, is responsible for is how many pounds of pressure you need to pull back the hammer. So I'll show you guys. And so this video is actually going to have 3 upgrades and then 1 little modification you can do on your own without upgrading any parts. So yeah, let's go through this. So obviously, this is extremely easy to cycle with the hammer pulled back. I can even kind of air rack it just a little bit. When the hammer is engaged, it's really hard to get that hammer back. So by throwing in a 12-pound recoil spring and trying to make that heavier without changing anything in the mainspring, your gun is going to cycle slower on the return, but then slam into battery harder. So in theory, that would get rid of the failure to go into battery malfunction, because my gun would be left kind of like this, with it not fully in battery. You would just get a much harder return, kind of making the gun want to nosedive after each recoil cycle, which isn't ideal. Now, by reducing the mainspring poundage from 20 to 17, what you're going to get is it's going to be easier for the gun to pull the hammer back into place when it cycles. And just by dropping the weight on the spring here, you're going to allow for the gun to cycle better and more properly. So that's why I would recommend getting a Wolf 17-pound mainspring, and we're gonna change that out here, show you how to do that properly. Next, another thing I did was loosen the tension on my ejector. And although that's a very easy thing to do, and I'll actually just post a link right here from an expert showing you guys how to do that. It's a very easy thing to do, but what it did for me is it made press checking a lot easier. So there's less tension, there's less friction when I am trying to press check. Additionally, I got a 3-spring kit with 3 different weights from Dawson Precision that I'll do some experimenting with to figure out which one plays the best with the 17-pound mainspring. I do recommend getting a variety pack so that you can kind of finely tune your experience based on your findings with the ammunition, grain weights that you're using, whether it's plus P or not, that kind of thing. So yeah, I like having options, so I would get that 3-pack. And the third upgrade that isn't necessary, but does work with this gun with a little bit of just, toying around is the Dawson Precision magwell for the Staccato Gen 2 platform. And that fits perfectly. You just gotta do a couple things and I'll show you guys how to install that. Let's start with the easiest mod, which will be the recoil spring. What you'll need for this is just an Allen wrench to remove the guide rod assembly. All right. Guide rod is disassembled. So I'm going to compare the springs, look at all of them. Apparently yellow is the lightest, green is standard, red is heavy. But this is the stock spring. And let's just compare. So orange is definitely a larger spring. Although green is a medium load spring, it's shorter than all of them. I might try the green spring. Next, we will fit the magwell. So what you'll need is just obviously the magwell kit, which I'm very excited about. You'll need a hammer and punch set, ideally a nylon hammer. You'll take your punch and you'll knock out this little set pin at the edge of your Actually, since this is out, we might as well just change out the mainspring first. So I just C-clamped the mainspring housing right there. And what I will do is I will depress So for this, you'll want a punch and then a very small Allen wrench. So you're going to push into this cup pin area here. You're going to apply a lot of pressure, and then you'll just use your Allen wrench to knock that very small pin out on the other side. Don't lose that. Then you'll take the spring assembly out. There are 2 pins held within the spring. And then here is our lighter mainspring, the 17-pound reduced power. I don't think it matters which end goes where. With the arrowhead plunger thing going in, you're going to put that back in. Push this all the way in. Depending on which side you're working on through, you'll push that pin back up. And voila, you're back and assembled. Like I said, guys, these are pretty easy modifications to do. I think the most difficult one is going to be the magwell, but we'll put the mainspring housing back in. So if you can see, we're running into a little issue with the Prodigy's grip. So these lines on either side of the grip module are going to have to come off. So we're going to use a Dremel to take those off. Looks like we'll also have to take some material off of the front here. Okay. So overall, these upgrades are fantastic and make this gun just run more reliably, run smoother. Please let me know if you guys have any questions in the comment section below, and let me know what you guys are doing to your Prodigy if you have one, and if these upgrades are helpful if you try them out. And hopefully I can play a positive part in your journey to making your Prodigy more reliable and just run smoother.